A review of the terms of gas production contracts has started in Nigeria. Those in the industry say they are working on creating a sector that will attract investors and boost employment. Ponarimam Feintola reports.
It's taken 17 months for this review to start. In November 2019, the House of Representatives asked the Joint Committees on Gas Resources to assess the conditions of gas production contracts. The committee is now working with the people in the industry to review the terms of contract between producing companies and the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. The chairman of the committee says the review will lead to more funds being generated to boost the Nigerian economy.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) and all other relevant stakeholders to determine the current situation in the gas sector and create ways to attract investments and set out terms that will grow the economy.
The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources says the government is going to look at the price of gas and make it affordable for all Nigerians.
Because we feel that a lot of usage now is in the cities, so we want to push for rural people to also begin to utilize household gas for cooking.
The department has considered and reviewed 5 terms for gas development in PSCs. And these terms are 3 include duration, cost of gas, tax gas, royalty, and profit gas. So these 5 terms, we believe when considered, it will definitely make it robust and enable the provisions that is made for the in the PIB to be adequately addressing all the issues concerned.
It may have taken a while for this review to be held, but it's hoped the wait won't be so long for the findings. Ponarimam Feintola, Arise News.
All right, for a closer look at this development, oil and gas expert Olabode Sowunmi joins us now. Thank you so much for joining us. Nice to see you again. Well, from that report, it's obvious that this review is very, very important, and of course, some of the benefits were reeled out there. But I'd like to know exactly how this review, or why it really has become necessary at this time.
Thank you very much. When an oil company wants to do business with a country or with a place, they have 2 major options for going to those contracts. One is called the production sharing contract, PSCs, and the other is called the joint venture, JVs. Now, in the terms in the production sharing contracts, Nigeria entered into some in the 70s and in the 90s. Because the focus at that time was on oil, crude oil and all that, they did not have terms for gas in those contracts. But over the years, gas now equally became important with NLNG and all that. So those contracts started trading in gas. But because there were no terms for gas, there was no basis for actually sharing the revenue. So technically, you had revenue that was coming in from gas, but that was not going into the refrigeration account or made available to the public because there were no terms in the contract. So basically, where there's no law, there's no offense.
But if you say that there's no law, there's no offense, there is an understanding that if you're making money out of any of the resources in the country, there is got to be something. But I guess the issue will still be, if there's no clarity in it, then how do you return some part of that money?
Yes, I mean, there are some gray areas. I mean, we know the nature of laws and all that. So there were some gray areas with which enabled the job to have been done, at least to be executed. So
in spite of the fact that there were no laws,
there were no
governing that particular gas terms.
So what basically they are looking to do is to include gas terms into the production sharing contract, so that going forward, I mean, everything will be done right. But more importantly, what the House of Reps was trying to do is to investigate what possibly could have happened to some of those income that happened in the past. I mean, there's discussions that some of this money is in escrow, which we have heard that is true. So if it's in escrow, is it in a bank? If it's in a bank, is it possible that there's interest in it? So
where do we
even
point
have an
fingers
idea?
then?
Do we have an idea how much we're talking about here that maybe Nigeria has lost, or that is being saved in some
Escrow
account?
account.
I don't think anything is lost.
Okay.
I just think maybe they've not been fully accountable to. I mean, once they get into the books, the monies will come. But we're talking billions of dollars.
So where do we point fingers in terms of not being able to capture this information properly through having a clear law that is something that we can point to as guide?
Well, basically it's not my role to point fingers. I'm being very honest here. But what I would say is that there are some people whose responsibility it is to draft those contracts. So
will that be NNPC? Will that be DPR? Will that be which of the departments?
You're naming them.
You don't want to be
somewhere around there.
Somewhere around there.
Yes.
But more importantly, this review is expected to, attract investors and boost employment.
No, obviously.
Speak to that.
It will attract investors. I mean, basically, once the terms are clear, more people, because there are fewer people who will be less interested in uncertain environment, definitely. But more importantly, all of these things is supposed to be taken care of by the PIB. But now that more light is shed on it, just like the issues within the power sector, it is expected that they will do the right thing. Once there are more people into gas, you have more gas being deepened within the domestic market. And with the domestic market, one of the things that gas has is the opportunity to ensure proper industrialization for Nigeria. So, because there's gas-based industries, there's gas to industry, and there's gas to power.
So from this conversation now, is there anything about still looking at the issue of gas flaring and not being able to extract all of it for sale?
Well, you're moving into a different field.
Okay.
Yes. But this is now, let's say you have not captured all the gas and everything. How, and you have sold it and you have done the needful, what actually happens to the money? So that is where we're talking about. Okay. So the issues about gas flaring is a different ballgame.
Okay.
And that also needs to be looked into.
So will this review help us understand exactly how much Nigeria is expected to be making from gas? If it's fully explored, or
to have made in the past.
In the past?
Yes, because in terms of...
How will that really help us? I mean, if we're looking back at what we should have made, other than what we're expecting
the money is there
to actually make.
The money is there. Some of the money is in escrow. That's the issue. So if we're trying to borrow $2 billion and all that, and we have some $2 billion just hanging in there.
Okay, we might just shelve the idea of borrowing. Okay, so Nigeria has about 180 million cubic feet of gas reserves.
Trillion.
Am I correct? Yeah, trillion.
Trillion,
not billion. So that's a lot.
Yes, we are the seventh biggest in the world.
In the world.
If you compare it in terms of molecules with oil, that's about 10 times oil. So technically, we are even more of a gas nation than an oil nation.
So all of this, the issue of contracts, the opacity, and all that has denied Nigeria from, profiting from gas. Is that what you're saying?
You just hit the nail on the head.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Olabode Sowunmi is oil and gas expert. Thank you for joining us.